Argyle. Once upon a time, somewhere in Scotland, there was a sheep whose name was Argyle. Argyle was exactly like all the other sheep. He looked like a sheep. He felt like a sheep. He liked to do the same things the other sheep did. He wasn't one bit different from any of them, and he didn't give a hoot-mon about it. When MacDougall, the shepherder, herded his sheep into the pen to shear their wool for market, he couldn't tell Argyle from the rest of them. "A sheep is a sheep," MacDougall always said. "They're all the same." That was all right with Argyle. It was exactly the way he wanted it. All day, with the rest of MacDougall's sheep, Argyle roamed the highlands and lowlands and the middlelands. It was peaceful and quiet. It was exactly the way he wanted it. That's some pretty skilled sheep right there. Sheep like to go around in bunches. So did Argyle. But once in a while, sheep like to wander away from the others. So did Argyle. He didn't do it very often, just sometimes. One day, he wandered off and came to a place behind some tall rocks where he'd never been before. The grass there tasted really good. So did some strange little flowers with red and blue and white and green and purple and yellow petals. In fact, they were outstanding. Argyle didn't tell anyone about them, but the next day he quietly wandered back, and the day after that, and the day after that. He ate hundreds of the little colorful flowers. One day, MacDougall's wife, Catherine, said, "Why didn't you tell me about the many-colored sheep, MacDougall?" "Because we didn't have many-colored sheep, Catherine," said MacDougall. "Look again," said Catherine. MacDougall looked again and saw that they did indeed have a many-colored sheep. Its wool was red and blue and white and green and purple and yellow. The sheep was Argyle. MacDougall ran for his shears and started clipping. Catherine ran for her knitting needles and started knitting. They both ran to show all their friends and neighbors the socks Catherine had knit. They were a beautiful plaid. Well, you can imagine what a sensation a sheep who grew wool that knit into plaid socks would be in Scotland. Argyle became famous overnight. It didn't take MacDougall long to decide that Argyle should not be wandering around with the rest of the sheep. So he put Argyle in a pen by himself where he was all alone. Poor Argyle. Except for the hundreds of people who paid a lot of money to come and see him and to buy some of his wool. They paid a lot of money for that. Soon MacDougall and Catherine grew very rich. Mayor Locke of Lomond came out to give Argyle a medal. But Argyle felt as if he weren't a sheep anymore. He was just a public exhibition. He hated it. It was never peaceful and quiet. He couldn't roam the highlands and the lowlands and the middlelands. And of course, he couldn't go back to the place where the pretty little colored flowers grew. So he started to turn sheep's color again. MacDougall was so worried that he fed Argyle all kinds of vitamins and minerals and terrible tasting food. It made Argyle miserable. Dude, he's like giving him all his prescription medication. Not cool. Soon, he not only stopped feeling like a sheep, he stopped looking like one. Because all his wool fell out. Well, it didn't take long for people to stop coming around, except for Mayor Locke of Lomond, who came to take away the medal. Fortunately, he couldn't take away MacDougall's money, so MacDougall and Catherine stayed rich the rest of their days. Catherine kept right on knitting and finally discovered a way to make plaid socks out of different bits of dyed wool. She called them Argyle socks, of course. You may have heard of them. MacDougall finally gave up on Argyle and sent him out with the rest of the sheep. Argyle grew back his old sheep coat, and soon you couldn't tell him from any of the other sheep. He looked like a sheep, and he felt like a sheep again. As for the place with the pretty colored flowers, if Argyle went back there, he never told anyone. And he stayed his plain old sheep color, so you could be pretty sure he wasn't eating anything but the grass. He just roamed the highlands, and the lowlands, and the middle lands with all the other sheep. It was peaceful and quiet. It was exactly the way he wanted it.